My father worked late. Some nights we were still awake, my brother and I, our faces smearing the window, watching the headlights bounce up the driveway like wild pitches of light thrown by a tired moon. We breathed in the huge silence after the engine died, then ran to the door, grabbing his legs as if we could hold him there through night, morning, forever. Some nights when he wasn't too tired, he took off his shirt and sat in the middle of the floor. We wrestled, trying to pin back his arms, sitting on his chest, digging our heads into the yellow stains under the arms of his t-shirt. Each time we thought we had him, "Do you give? Huh? Do you give?" He sat up, cradling us both in headlocks and the closest thing to an embrace that I remember, and carried us to bed. Other nights, he looked right through us, mechanically eating his late dinner, yelling at anything that moved. Some mornings, we woke to find him asleep on the couch, his foreman's tie twisted into words we couldn't spell. We ate our cereal as carefully as communion until our mother shook him ready for another day. My father carries no wallet full of lost years, carries no stubs, no guarantees, no promises. We could drive toward each other all night and never cross the distance of those missing years. Today, home for a visit, I pull in front of the house. My father walks down the steps, limping from his stroke. He is coming toward me, both of us pinned to the wind. He is looking at me as if to say, "Give, give, I give," as if either of us had anything left to give. And thank you. This poem is called Wheels. Many people from Detroit tell their life stories through their cars. Wheels. My brother kept in a frame on the wall pictures of every motorcycle, car, truck. It is a rusted out Impala convertible wearing his cap and gown, waving, and his yellow Barracuda with a girl leaning into him, waving, on his Honda 350, waving, on his Honda 750 with the boys holding a beer, waving. In his first rig, wearing a baseball hat backward, waving. In his Mercury Montego getting married, waving. In his black LTD trying to sell real estate, waving. Back to driving trucks, a shiny new rig, waving. On his Harley Sportster with his wife on the back, waving. His son in a car seat with his own steering wheel, my brother leaning over him in an old Ford pickup, and they are waving, holding a wrench, a rag, a hose, a chamois, waving. My brother, helmetless, rides off on his Harley, waving. My brother's feet rarely touch the ground, waving, waving, face pressed to the wind, no camera to save him. Thank you. This next poem is called Factory Love, and it's for anyone who's ever done shift work. Factory love. Machine, I come to you 800 times a day, like a crazy monkey lover, in and out, in and out, in and out. And you hardly ever break that down, such clean welds, such sturdy parts. Oh, how I love to oil your tips. Machine, come home with me tonight. I'll scrub off all the stains on your name, grease and graffiti. I'm tired of being your part-time lover. Let me carry you off into the night on a high-low. That guy at midnights, I know he drinks and beats you. And thank you. This poem is called My Grandfather's Tools, and I read it at my grandfather's funeral. Lifetime tinkerer, fixer-upper, always with his shiny tools. In his basement, his workbench, scarred wood blessed with oil, an altar to patience in a steady hand. My grandfather, the unpaid Mr. Fix-It for the church across the street in their rectory, convent, school, my grandfather, no true believer, hedges his bets with his tools. He worked for Packard nearly 50 years. All his life, his joy, that feel of tool in hand. His knife, his gun, his fist full of bills, showing the engineers how things really worked. His old Packard still runs, despite all logic, his eternal child, as long as he can get the parts. Over 80 years, still greasing his hands under the hood of a car. Black magic balm under his nails, still a firm grip on the tools. My grandfather sleeps in his front room while I pound on the door, a radio apart on the floor, alone with his tools, the reflection of steel. He replaces a casting in the steering column and loses reverse gear. He charges tools on his credit card, forgets my father pays the bills. The logic of dying escapes him. No wrench or screwdriver to save his thinning body. I smell death in his hands. Already dirt is gone from under his nails. When he dies, we'll all file down into his basement to sort tools hanging from hooks, filling drawers, shelves, toolboxes. And we'll hold them in our hands, feel their weight. Pallbearers carrying off those clean bones, no one there to carve them back into tools. Thank you. And Anthem. 2 months after retirement, my father is here to get away from 6 a.m. and his cup of empty destination. At a football game, we huddle under his flimsy umbrella, talking about the obvious. He brings me coffee to hold warm between my hands, a gift of no occasion. When we rise for the anthem, I hear the rusty crack of his voice for the first time maybe ever. 33 years of coughing thick factory air, of drifting to sleep through the heavy ring of machinery, of 12-hour days. In my sleep, I felt the cold bump of his late-night kiss. I shiver in the rain as my father sings me what now I hear as a children's song. I lean into him, the umbrella and rain, my excuse, my shoulder against his. And I imagine my mother falling in love.